All right, 5 o'clock hour here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. I'm your host, Mike Gill. What's going on? It's all brought to you by Matt Blatt Nissan, the all-new Matt Blatt Nissan, Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township, next to Home Depot, online at mattblattnissan.com. It is a Tuesday. That means it's a Tuesday with Thompson. The PT's here as All-Star game tonight, Peter. Now, you seem like an old-school kind of guy that would still like the pageantry of the All-Star game and Mike Schmidt running out in his powder blue.
I probably, I enjoyed the All-Star game. I really liked the Home Run Derby, and I didn't expect to like it, but I think a lot of that had to do with the location as well. And I got to be honest with you, there was a part of me that was buying the hype, and I thought there was a chance that Zach Wheeler would be the starting pitcher. Now, when it was explained why they went with who they went with, it totally made sense.
Now, what was the explanation?
I believe the explanation was that in a normal situation, had the game not been called off or postponed last year, that Dave Martinez would have been the manager, and he probably would have picked Scherzer as his guy.
Now, you think this is a valid explanation?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, but I don't know. I guess maybe why Dave Roberts then decides he's going to do the favor for Dave. I don't know. But I mean, it wasn't completely out of left field when I read it yesterday.
You've been working with Billy too long. Huh.
Say it again.
You've been working with Billy too long.
So you're pissed off that Zach Wheeler's not the starter for the game.
No, I'm not.
There's no guarantee he's even going to get in now.
I'm not ticked off. I'm just saying. The reasoning that they gave, you said now you understand. That reasoning's terrible.
You think it's a bunch of hooey?
It doesn't matter if that might be the reason, but that's not a valid reason for me to say you pick Scherzer because he didn't get to start the game last year with a
because there was no game.
Yeah, but just because, first off, who knows if he would have been even an all-star caliber pitcher last year? You're just assuming that he would have been pitching well enough to start the game. That's number one. Number two, this is a new year. So whoever started last year, you don't say, well, because he got roughed up in the game last year, let's start him in this year's game. No, you take the guy who deserves it.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously
By the way,
two names.
Wheeler's catcher is catching. So don't you think that makes more sense to pitch the guy whose catcher's catching for him?
Sure, I like that you're fired up about this. I'm a little surprised, to be honest with you.
I'm only fired up because what you said was that once you heard the reason for Scherzer, it became acceptable.
Whoa. I never said it became acceptable. I said it made sense. I could see the logic, as twisted as it may be. I could understand it. My point is this. I was believing the hype going in that based on when his last start was and how things were playing out, and DeGrom was going to go in San Francisco that Sunday, the last day before the All-Star break, that all the things were lining up to have Wheeler be the starter. So I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to happen. And then yesterday when they named the starters and it was Scherzer, not Wheeler, I was like, hey, what the hell? And so then I looked to see if there was any discussion about it, and that was the reasoning that they gave. And I mean, it's plausible. I don't have to like it, but I at least understand it.
I don't know if that's the way it came out when you said it the last time. But that being
That's all right. I'm glad I could leave one up there for you to smash back in my face.
Yeah, that being said, I don't really care who starts the All-Star game. I think logically, Wheeler's having a better year than Scherzer. Not drastically, but I think his numbers are better. And the fact that his catcher is also the starting catcher, I think that would have made. But I will say this. With Ohtani starting, Scherzer's a more recognizable name to promote Scherzer versus Ohtani than Wheeler is.
Sure, and maybe that had something to do with it too.
More of an acceptable answer from you.
But by the way, when you were watching the Home Run Derby last night, did you see Ken Griffey Jr. saying, if I'm in the box tomorrow, I'm swinging at the first pitch I see because I think he's going to try to get ahead of me with a fastball, and I'm going to take him yard.
So yeah,
I really enjoyed that Home Run Derby.
Yeah, and obviously Ohtani was kind of the star of the show early on, and then he gets eliminated in the first round, so he's kind of out of it. But yeah, I thought it was great, and a lot of energy in the ballpark. I don't know how much of it's too because there was no game last year, but the fact that this this home run derby thing, which kind of seemed like it was dying, they're kind of pulling it back out, it seems. And now Alonso winning back to back, going for a three-peat hopefully next year, that could add to it.
Well, and they tweaked the format a little bit, although some people were still bitching about that and said that maybe there was a pitch that got off after the horn went and yada yada. Look, there's no perfect format for the home run derby. I thought it flowed a little better. I mean, my excitement was that, this was Coors Field the way that I remembered Coors Field when I worked out in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. That was, when the Rockies first started playing at Coors Field, those Blake Street Bombers, they didn't have the humidor at that point. They weren't. Those baseballs were flying out of that stadium. Vinny Castilla, Andres Galarraga, Larry Walker, Dante Bichette, everybody was hitting. Walt Weiss was hitting home runs, for God's sakes. And Walt Weiss was like a slap hitter. So I was excited to see how far some of the balls would go last night. Now, I will tell you this. I don't know who was on the ESPN crew. I don't mean to rip the mothership, but I thought they did an awful job of following the baseballs. I mean, I understand that with it being mountain time, when the baseball is the same color as the sky, it's a little difficult to follow that ball. But, man, they got a lot more cameras and they got a lot more people and they got a lot fancier equipment. And I thought that was substandard. I thought it was subpar. Right. Bad job on the four-letter network.
All right, I want to go over to football today. ESPN, we talked about this earlier in the show. They did their ranking the best NFL running backs. They did their top 10 from 50 scouts, coaches, players, executives. Now, Miles Sanders did not land in the top 10, but he got honorable mention. And the comment that was made by I forget. Let me see. Let me pull it up real fast. Who made the comment on him? It was an AFC defensive coach, and it said he's underrated. In a better scheme for backs, he'd be a prominent guy. And this is something, PT, that Eagle fans were saying all year, is they're not using Sanders the right way. And I went and looked at what they did with the backs in Indianapolis. Jonathan Taylor, I'm looking at Sanders to have a Jonathan Taylor type of season. But hearing that from a coach saying they didn't use him the right way, that gives me some more excitement for what Nick Sirianni can do with Miles Sanders.
Well, I would agree that they didn't use him the right way. I don't think they used him enough. I don't think the run game was something that was a priority in Doug Peterson's offense, and to me, I don't think we've seen the real Miles Sanders yet. I think that used to be a game show. Well, the real Mike Gill, please stand up. Well, the real, at the end. I don't think we've seen what Miles Sanders is fully capable of. Plus, as we've discussed before, there's nowhere for the offensive line to go but up. You'd have to think that whether it's run protection or pass protection, I'm not saying we're going to go back to the Andy Reid screen game that we used to see back with Brian Westbrook back in the day, but I still think that we didn't see the full potential of what Miles Sanders could be. And I would agree that, with Sirianni in place, that we have a chance to see something better.
I hope so. And that leads us to our conversation during football at 4 was last week on Thursday with Adam Kaplan when, he was talking about Travis Fulgham and what Greg Cosell was telling him, like, hey, this guy was legit real deal. They just didn't play him for whatever reason. And I'm thinking if Sanders could be better, if Fulgham can be the player that he was over that 4-week span with Smith, you have your offensive line. 3 of the Eagles' offensive line finished on the honorable mention list in this ESPN evaluation pool. I feel like the Eagles' offense can be a surprise.
Well, and everybody don't forget their draft pick, the Devontae Smith. Everybody that's laid eyes on him. I
mentioned him, Peter.
What's that?
I mentioned him.
Well, everybody that's laid eyes on him has said that he's unbelievably talented, and people that are like, I got to at the Ron Jaworski thing. I sat and had lunch with Merrill Reese. I talked with Mike Quick. You think Mike Quick doesn't understand the receiving position even in today's NFL? I think Quick's line was, "He's so fast his shadow can't catch him."
Well, in this ESPN piece, by the way, Peter, it was mentioned that Miles Sanders had the top speed. He's the fastest running back when he gets through the line of scrimmage in all of football. He runs 21 miles an hour. So the breakaway speed, the ability to give you the big play, which we saw last year at times, he had a couple of big runs. They just didn't use him enough, I don't think.
Yeah, so I have great expectations and very positive expectations for them moving forward in trying to be able to figure some things out. It is the great unknown. We just, first year coach, new system, unanswered questions. And right now, Obviously, on this station, and we always like to talk about football 365, right? But I feel like I'm Xing off the days until this training camp can get going, and it's a shorter training camp this year. Plus, that news just broke that they're going to have a couple of joint practices with the Jets and the Patriots.
Yep. Well, you're right, because today's Tuesday with Thompson. 2 Tuesdays from today, Eagles camp will open. And yes, you're right. They did announce earlier today, Patriots and Jets, they will have joint practices. So it feels like we're getting to that point. I got to be honest with you. I am getting excited about the offensive side of the ball. Until they get another corner, I can't speak for the defense because they need another corner badly. Although Darius Slay was ranked by the executives and peers as the 9th best corner in football, even after having somewhat of a down year last year.
Right. I did hear you talking about Darius Slay quite a bit. And there's no doubt that they need it. You almost feel like in typical Howie fashion, in typical Eagles fashion, do they have some plan and we just don't know it? Or do they have no plan and they're just hoping into something? One of those two is going to turn out to be correct. Which one do you think it's going to be?
That's a good question. I'm not a Howie hater, so I feel like if he can find a deal, he'll get a deal like he normally does.
I'm not a Howie hater, but I also know that, like often, would you not agree that of the 4 pro franchises in Philadelphia, the Eagles are the most secretive, the most cryptic, and the last to explain themselves?
That's a good question. I just don't feel like people care about the others as much.
That's true. I guess that's true. I was explaining to somebody the other day about, the number of the meat, because they were asking why I thought Carson Wentz flamed out. And I said that I think ultimately what I praised him for, being a small town kid from North Dakota and having grit and toughness, I don't think he ever fit in the Philadelphia environment where you're in the fishbowl and in the microscope. And there's another guy that just got caught over at Wimbledon or has now bought a mansion right near some of the rappers and some of the guys in L.A., Ben Simmons. I don't think he fits in the fishbowl either. He just can't handle.
Well, we'll talk to Paul Hudrick about that Ben Simmons news that came out today. I don't know if you saw this, Peter. I know you were out on the golf course, but the Sixers are starting to pick up trade conversations, and apparently the trade conversations, the interest in him remains robust.
But I thought what I saw, too, was that the interest is there, but also that their asking price is really high.
The asking price is they want an all-star level player in return.
Did anybody watch the playoffs? I mean, I think that's ballsy, don't you? I mean, that takes,
Well, but again, the fans are thinking like they're just tired of Simmons. They're ready to move on. These people's jobs are to evaluate people, and let me tell you, basketball people think more highly of Ben Simmons than Joe in Summers Point does, and Pete in Absecon does, and
I'm in Galloway,
and Pete in Galloway does. All right. So, newsflash: NBA executives, scouts, and others view Simmons higher than the people listening to this show.
The guy's basically an automatic triple-double. He regularly can get you a triple-double, and he's a unicorn because he's a 6'11" guy that can handle the ball. I understand all the good things about him.
Well, that's what
Pete Galloway,
the basketball people see, the good. And you know this, Peter. Everybody feels that they're the guy that can get the most out of another guy.
That's true. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah,
I'm going to be the one to fix him.
We put some trash outside on the curb the other day, and we went home last night, and some of it was gone.
What was it?
A coffee maker, a frother, a saw.
That's great.
Right? Hey, I have a chair and a vacuum cleaner on my front lawn. If anybody wants it, you can go have it.
Yeah, that's a win-win. I don't see any problem with that.
Right.
When I was really poor, first in broadcasting, I once rescued a recliner from the
that's great.
from the trash. It was a black leather recliner, and then I used duct tape because the 2 arms were dug out, right? So that was but it reclined. I mean,
I would love to see you snooping around someone's garbage.
I mean, it was out in the trash, so why not? Look, you throw a chair out, I thought, because it doesn't recline. The thing reclined, so I rescued it.
Did you test it out before you took it?
I had it I had to put I put 2 T-shirts in it, and then I put duct tape over top the T-shirts, like the fill. That was like the fake padding, like the fill in both the arms. But yeah, I had that in Scottsbluff. I had it in Lincoln. I had it in Omaha. And this is a great story. We brought it all the way back from Omaha to King of Prussia, where my brother was living. And my brother put his foot down because I was going to live with him. And he was like, that's not coming in my house. So my buddy Wes, that moved me out here, back out to the East Coast, I put it back in the U-Haul and said, look, take this back to Omaha and then just leave it in front of Dean's house. I know you love that Dean Wysocki. You love it when he gets, well, that's the ultimate FU that I gave to him. I had Wes bring the chair all the way back to Omaha and put it right in front of Dean's garage. And when Dean came home from doing the weather, he pulls in, he had like the garage opener, he hits the button, he damn near hit the chair. He was like, oh, what the hell?
All right,
it was
Tuesday
great.
with Thompson. So real quick, so PT has been doing the Locker Room Show on Sunday. It's a good listen with him and Billy. I want to ask, do you fact check Billy?
Not the way that you fact check most people, but no, unless he's blatantly wrong.
Okay.
I tend to not fact check him because I'm also trying to like cue up the next song, make sure that the guest is on. Am I doing this right? Is this button? No, when I get a little more comfortable, maybe I'll catch him in some. Yeah. But I heard you on like with Josh the other day, and you caught, or you were saying like, "Oh, come on, Josh." Like,
well, Josh. Well, here's the thing: Billy doesn't fact check Josh. He just takes for granted that Josh knows all his stuff, which he does know a lot. But I think Josh takes advantage that Billy doesn't fact check him, so he just throws nonsense out at him because he doesn't think Billy's going to fact check him. So Josh will just act like he knows more than he actually knows because he knows Billy just takes for granted that Josh knows everything. I said, you can't get those stupid facts by me, dude. I'm going to fact check
it. It drives you crazy when Billy's talking about why are there no fireworks or like, just
do a little research, man. You were on that text chain when he wrote me back. The game was at 4. They could have fireworks. I said, Bill, a 4-hour game only gets you to 8 o'clock. It's still daylight out.
Honest to God, hand to God, I think this Sunday, last Sunday as we were about ready to go on, I think I said something to him like, did you do any prep for this show? And he's like, no.
So yesterday I said, hey, I'm not like Billy, Josh. I'm going to fact check you, right?
Yeah.
You heard
did you
it.
Get him?
You heard the whole segment. So you heard the segment.
Yeah.
All right. So I get a text from Billy. I missed you guys once again inaccurately breaking my stones without me able to defend myself. I said, what are you talking about? All I said was you don't fact check. Is that breaking stones? No. And then he says, I got 3 texts from different people. And I said, and? I just told you what we said, that you don't fact check. Like, he just doesn't listen or read anything. I said, I don't care what the people texted you. I just told you what we said. You don't fact check. And he says, oh, I don't fact check Josh? That's true. Ha, ha, ha.
I do enjoy the Billy Network. There's like the Billy Network of loyal listeners but what's funny is there's a guy on the stream that doesn't like Billy at all. And but he's as eager a listener or watcher. Mickey is on every Sunday. He's on the stream every Sunday. And he always says like, what's Billy got in his cup? Is that really coffee or is that something stronger? Because he's being stupid, and he'll put that in the post.
All right. Well,
it's been fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I wanted to see if you had heard the segment and thought that we had said anything out of line because Billy could be a little sensitive,
I heard it. I didn't think it was anything more than the normal.
No, I told him exactly what we said. I said, Bill,
right.
You don't fact check Josh. Josh needs to be fact checked.
I do, and I do not fact check Billy often.
Well,
but
really
unless he's blatantly wrong.
Billy really needs to be fact checked.
When he threw out the stats for the Wizards that time, and it was supposed to be the Sixers, I'll just keep going back to that one for the rest of my life.
By the way, Chuck Fletcher spoke today. I don't know if you got anything from that.
Anything good? Anything good out of that?
We had a conversation with Durso. Go listen to it on YouTube.
All right, very good. I will.
All right, because I don't have any more time for this.
Hey, real quick, we played at Heritage Links yesterday. Remember where you and I played? Had a nice
you sent me that text,
there.
And you said that you played at Heritage Links, and that what happened?
Played an hour and a half, and I did not throw my 9-iron into the woods.
That's right. Yeah, you
right.
Threw your
I did not throw not helicopter a club away. And then we were at Renault in the afternoon yesterday, and then today. I've never been here, but boy, check out Pinelands Golf Club. The new owners out there. It's on Mays Landing Road near Hamilton, kind of out where the old South Jersey Gas was. Like you go out to that light. You know what I'm talking about? Off of 54, when you get on Route 54 and then it hits 73.
No.
I mean, no. Well, it's a wonderful course. The D Donato, the guy used to be the mayor of Hamilton. He's sinking a lot of money into it. So, and I shot a 45. I'm getting better. By tomorrow, when I play the Pete Thompson Open with all my colleagues, maybe I got a chance.
All right. Well, thank you, Peter. Tuesday with Thompson in the books.
Thank you, Michael. Good to talk to you, buddy.
That's Pete Thompson here on the Sports Bash. When we come back, our Sixers insider Paul Hudrick will take a look at these Ben Simmons reports and make some sense of them here, because Pete Thompson didn't make sense of anything with that conversation.
Come on.
Back with more Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.